Hello, everybody, and welcome to another KP Candid Conversations. I'm really excited about today's guest and today's conversation. I would say, good byproduct of the global pandemic is a renewed focus on mental health, positive mental health, and reducing the stigma of people who are dealing with mental health challenges. One big component of mental health is nutrition and what you eat and that connection, that mind-body connection. Joining me today is Dr. Michael Moreno. Dr. Moreno is a family practice physician at our San Diego Medical Center. Doctor, welcome.
You know, I'm so excited to be here. And Josh, I recognize your name. You know, for months I see your name pop up. You know, Kaiser's a big organization. You see these names commonly pop up, and now I'm actually getting to talk to you. So I'm very honored, Josh. I truly am. I'm like, I get to talk with Josh. I love this.
Well, the honor's really mine. But so one thing we hear, of course, is don't eat your feelings. Tell me about this connection.
You know, we could go on and on and on about this, but let's try to break this down in some very foundational, basic building blocks. Very clearly, what you put in your body is how your body is going to perform. And it's not just physically, it's not just from a gut standpoint. It's, as you said, Josh, it's mentally. It's how we think. It's really its impact on anxiety, depression, mood disorders. So, you know, we have some challenges ahead of us in terms of dealing and managing and helping these people, of which there are many. But if we can give them some foundational building blocks, like we're going to talk about today, better eating habits, better choices, the right foods, proper nutrition to build proper amino acids and neurotransmitters. We talk about something called the GBA, the gut-brain axis, that connection between our stomachs, our GI tract, and our brain. So there's a lot of connections out there. There are a lot of connections out there. There's a lot of research to show this. The idea is fuel your body with proper fuel, and your body will perform physically, mentally, all of the above. How we eat can have a tremendous impact on how our brain functions. And also vice versa. To your point and your initial question, don't eat your feelings. Well, now we're taking that reverse. So rather than going from the gut to the brain, we're now taking the brain and the feelings, the emotions, the things of this nature, and that two-way highway goes back to the gut. And this can essentially cause a lot of stomach problems. It can cause a lot of, irritable bowel is something that as a primary care doctor, I practice every day. I would have to say 3 or 4 times per day, we're talking about irritable bowel syndrome. Well, it's the same thing when you talk about stress and how it impacts your gut, and when you talk about what you eat and how much you eat of it and how it impacts that brain. So the gut-brain axis is this two-way highway, and there's really a tremendous connection. There's a lot of research out there, and it's really quite incredible what we're now finding out that we didn't quite realize before.
When we talk about, have we done ourselves a disservice when we talk about comfort foods? When we say we declare this is a comfort food and it should comfort us, but generally it's probably bad food.
But I guess unless comfort food comes from a bowl of blueberries and some walnuts, which probably most people would say this guy's out of his mind, right? I think the term comfort food, and we've all heard it, we all use it. Mom's cooking, that home cooking, that stuff that you eat, it sits in your gut and then puts you right down on the couch or to bed. But here's the thing, Josh. I think life is a complicated thing. And I think that we do ourselves a tremendous disservice putting ourselves in this prison of food. What we can't do, what we can do. I came up with this term years ago, and I live by a principle. I live saying this is how I eat, and I call it a LADS diet, LADS. That's the acronym. Likeable, affordable, doable, sustainable. And I think those 4 elements are the elements to a good diet. It's not about giving up this and that and that. You can't do that. We have to enjoy life. We have to respect culture. We have to respect family. We have to respect all of the things that happen, not every single day, but when they do, we need to bring that satisfaction to us. And going back to what we're talking about is mental health, right? Trying to minimize or reduce depression, anxiety, mood disorders, all of these things. So, comfort food is comfort food as long as you're not doing it 3 times a day, every day. But listen, we have to enjoy life. I think part of our mental health, a good part of it, comes from joy and self-satisfaction. And if part of that comes from food and a little bit of comfort food, I think that's okay. But you got to get back on the track, and you got to remember the lad's diet, I think, is a great foundation for really all foods and how we should eat.
Can you break that down? What each one of those means?
Yes. So LADS, LADS. This came to me several years ago, and I was doing some work and writing some books on health and nutrition. And you find when you look out there are so many diets and so many things, and it's all about giving up this or giving up that, or these extremes, right, in how we eat, what we eat, when we eat. And I really feel like food is something we need to respect. And again, for those reasons I mentioned, first of all, likable. You got to like what you eat. Okay, I go, let's face it, I go into the break room of my office and I see, someone in my staff, sometimes a doctor, that's they're eating something that is less than appetizing. And the look on their face shows that. They don't like what they're eating. That's not something that's going to last very long. We should enjoy what we eat. Food should fuel us. One of the things I always say is eat foods that fuel you, not fool you. And it's a really important thing. So you gotta like what you eat. Number 2A, affordable. Listen, we can't get anybody in the finance world to commit to whether we're in a recession or not, but let's face it, we've fallen on hard times. Groceries are outrageous. Things are expensive. Restaurants, all of those things. So you have to have an affordable diet. And I truly believe that you can, if you plan this and look into this, you can find healthy, affordable diets. Affordable foods, I should say. So likable, affordable, doable. It's got to be doable. It's got to fit into your busy life, right? If your food preparation revolves around 4 hours in the kitchen and all of this prep work and all of this, it's not going to happen. So it's got to be doable. It's got to fit with your job, your home responsibilities, your significant other, your kids, taking them to soccer, taking them to baseball. How can you make your diet a doable diet to fit in your life? And that doability is variable with everybody. It's different for you, Josh. It's different for me. It's different for everyone. So I think doable is a very custom thing. How can I eat healthy, affordable food and do it in a way that fits into my life? And lastly, the most important, S, sustainable. You have to embark on a journey that is something that you can sustain, that you can do every day. People talk about fad diets and short-term this and fasting this and that. I think that there is just this conundrum of eating habits, whether it's food, whether it's fasting, when you eat, what you eat, but its impact and the sustainability is critical. And I think when you get all this together and you have that LADS diet in place, I think you build a foundation for your health in general. And we're talking about mental health a lot today, and we're focusing on that. It's a foundation because when you fuel your body properly and you fuel your body in a healthy way, in a sustainable way, you get confidence. Confidence builds good gut health. Good gut health goes back to that gut-brain axis, that GBA. We minimize, we reduce the incidence of anxiety and depression, mood disorders. And when you do that, your mind rewards your gut, and you got a nice little two-way freeway going on here. The last thing you want to do is, disrupt one of those proper healthy directions and impact the where you're headed. So it's a complicated world, but I think hopefully today we can break it down a little bit to some basic, simple starting blocks so that we can all get where we need to be.
What do we do about, and you mentioned something interesting there when in that description, what do we do about families that are in food deserts, that live in communities where they don't have access to those healthy foods and they're choosing fast foods and foods that are frozen because it's what's accessible, and that has to play a part in the mental health.
Fantastic question. Really, really good question. I think first of all, we need to not turn our eye to the fact that that's going on. And this is not going on in other countries. This is going on in our backyard. We need to educate. We need to get involved in communities. We need to get people involved. We talk about farmers markets. We talk about teaching. We talk about education. I'm one of 7 kids, and we grew up in a classic Hispanic family. There was rice and tortillas at every meal, and that was our culture. That's what we had to do. And my mother, God bless her, raised 7 of us. Don't ask me how, but she did. And we all came out okay, I think, for the most part. But the point being, and your question is such a good one, I think it starts with education. It starts with letting people know that there are options. One of the things I tell my patients all the time, because like it or not, now the fast food industry is being forced into some compliance, right? They have healthy foods. And I will tell you, and Josh, if you want to go to lunch with me or dinner or breakfast, we can drive around to any fast food place you want, and I will find something that is healthier as opposed to unhealthy. That goes for breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever you want to do. They're there. It's choosing it, right? How do we make that right choice? We know right from wrong. Go to McDonald's and just go through there. Yeah, you can get the Big Mac and the fries and the whole thing and supersize it to boot. But there's also some healthier versions. Is it the cleanest, best, perfect, healthiest? No, but it's better, right? Another one of my sayings. I'm filled with sayings, Josh. You're going to get sick of me. More of the good, less of the bad. It's not all one way. We all know right from wrong. We all know good from bad. How do we get ourselves to make those choices? How do we get ourselves to go towards the good? Not all good and not zero bad. More of the good, less of the bad. Baby steps, micro habits. Change those thought processes. Next time you're forced into going to a fast food drive-thru, don't let them rush you. And then they say, hey, give me your order, next in line, right? Take a look at the menu, scan it. We get caught up in this idea that, oh, I'm going to McDonald's, this is what I'm going to get. Give it a second. Take one step further. Look at the menu at home before you even go. Plant these seeds, plant these success potential, and start to introduce it into your life. So I think education, I think community resources, I think we need to help each other. More than ever, we're struggling in our country, in our communities, in our city. And I'm out in San Diego and we see it all the time. We need to reach out to an amazing organization like KP. I've been a part of this group for 27 years now. And we do a lot of stuff to support the community, to educate our members and non-members. It's about collectivity. It's about community. It doesn't matter where you get your health insurance. We're all part of this same community. So I think we have to, educate. We have to help provide resources. And we have to introduce things like what we're doing today, which is hope, right? Hope and a little trinket of an idea. If someone can take one little nugget of what we talk about today and put that to use tomorrow, I think we've done our job.
What about I get through the middle of the day and I need to pick me up. I'm feeling down. I'm going to go get myself a chocolate bar. Does that work? Does it not work?
Here's what I say to things like that. Fast high, fast low. Okay? You get that burst, right? It's sugar. And it gets you going, but it does a lot of silent damage in the meanwhile. Not only that, but when you talk about things like that, choices like that, and I'm going to give you some better choices in a second that are going to give you more energy, more sustainable energy. High sugar bombs like that, fast high, fast low, which means you get this burst of energy and then it, boom, drops. And it doesn't last very long. So rather than do that, I think a little bit of caffeine is fine. Yeah, caffeine got a bad rap. I really think that a little caffeine is fine. Now, you can't drink 8 pots of coffee every day, but as long as you're hydrated, a little caffeine is fine. So if you had a little bit of a caffeine type thing, not the sugar, but I'll tell you one thing that people don't think about that gives them a lot of energy: water. Good old H2O. Water is really, really important. And I will tell you this, and I'm going to challenge you, Josh. I want you to do this. Next time A lot of us are working from home. We're stuck in our home office, and these moments arise where you need that pick me up. Get yourself a glass of water, get yourself a hand of almonds or blueberries, and take a 5-minute walk. That's it. A 5-minute walk. Hydration, circulation, and getting that blood movement, and a little brain food, right? Maybe some walnuts, some almonds, maybe a little piece of spring cheese, a boiled egg, right? So there's a lot of good options. You want to minimize the sugar because sugar, as I said, is a fast high, fast low.
So when do I need to talk to a physician about my nutritional health and that balance between nutrition and mental health?
Well, I think it's everything. It's different for everybody. I'm one of these guys that I talk about this, and I really relate it to nearly everything people come in to see me for. It starts with nutrition and gut health, and again, that gut-brain axis that we talk about. Those things are critical. So it starts with those things. And the whole point is that you need to have this discussion sooner rather than later. I don't think it's ever too early or ever too late. It's something that's foundational and is really a big part of everything, how we feel, not just from our mental health, but how our bodies perform for us. So have that conversation early, get those building blocks. We talk about hydration, we talk about movement, we talk about stress management, and we talk about how we fuel our bodies. Those are my 4 pillars, my 4 legs of the chair, if I may. You focus on those 4 things. You got a tremendous foundation and building block to build as you go up.
I assume it's for all ages, right? We focus on children, and whether you're sitting and you're middle-aged and working from home, or you're an older adult.
It's never too early. And I think it's really important for those of us who have children to create these good habits, to create this proper environment and teach good from bad, right? More of the good, less of the bad. So yeah, I think we need to start. And unfortunately, now that we're seeing, type 2 diabetics in kids that are 10 years old, sometimes younger. Type 2 diabetics, traditionally we used to call this adult onset diabetes. No longer. That change and that term is migrated now because the habits, the choices, and yes, I get it. We're battling the fast food industry. We're battling things that we don't have control over. But I tell my patients, you have to focus on things that you have control over and respect the things that you don't have control over. Know that they're there, but don't be lulled into those bad habits just because we're fighting one of these big industries. So yeah, it's starting sooner rather than later, and unfortunately earlier, but I think it's fine. You set these principles, you set these expectations, you build a healthy body from earlier years, and it's just the sustainability that you're going to get out of it.
Any good place that you would recommend to find some resources about good nutrition and so forth?
Well, so kp.org has a tremendous amount of information on health and wellness. And I think, again, I'm a little biased, right? Because I've been part of this organization for, 2.5 decades. But really, I think we really do and say and put out there what we try to preach. And so I think kp.org is tremendous. And there are a lot of different things. I personally am one of the physician leads for a group department called Positive Choice. And Positive Choice is specific to San Diego. We work with members and non-members. It's, again, going back to what I was saying, it's available to the community. And it's about, positive influence on diet, nutrition, fitness, wellness, all of these things. So, I think KP is a tremendous, resource. Positive Choice in San Diego, again, it's positivechoice.org is a great place to go. And hey, what I always tell my patients, if you're not sure, ask someone. Again, this is a team effort, it's a group effort. Tap that shoulder of somebody, whether it's your healthcare provider or a friend or a neighbor or whoever it is. Now's the time we need to reach out and say, hey, I'm struggling, I need some help. And, it's our duty as a human to help our fellow man. So I think that's important.
Dr. Moreno, you are inspirational. You are fantastic. You don't look like you've been in the business for 2 decades and plus. So it must be what you're eating and how you're living.
Listen, if we ever meet, if we ever meet non-virtually, you'll be like, you're not the same guy I saw on that camera.
It's a different guy. I am going to take you up on driving me around finding good food.
Yeah, but we'll do it.
I will take
Listen,
you up on that.
and eventually you're going to like it because you're going to start to feel better. And, trust me, they're there. You got to just look for it.
Perfect. Dr. Moreno, thank you so much for spending some time with me.
My pleasure. Thank you. I really appreciate it, Josh.